Hello, everyone. My name is Dmytro Boiko. I'm Associate Professor of Department of Psychiatry, Oncology, and Medical Psychology, Poltava State Medical University, and I'm here to tell you about some tricks, methods for reducing stress and improve your psycho-emotional state. So, before I start, a few words about stress itself, or rather about our perception of it and several common myths about it. If I say that it's normal to feel bad emotions, such as sadness, anger, anxiety, despair from time to time, that person should feel and experience the whole range of emotions, either bad and good, and feeling unhappy at times, it's normal. At this point, you might say, hey, Mr. Bearded Kafka, what kind of sub-depressive existential delusion? We want to feel good. And I do not argue with this statement. I'll just explain that they can coexist. If you formulate it in one sentence, which explains how to feel good, even when you feel bad emotions from time to time, it will look like this. Be present, open up, and do what matters. But not so literally. And now I will explain the slogan step by step with some practical recommendations, and I'll start with the final part of the sentence. Do what matters. Many people hearing this expression say, oh, I'm already doing something matter, Mr. Doctor. I'm getting an education, working 2 jobs, studying to be a doctor, but that's exactly what makes me feel bad because I don't have time for anything and I can't do anything properly. So I don't want to do anything, and so on in a circle. At this very moment, the concept of values should be presented. Do things that are matter to your values. But what are values? Ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to be? What are you willing to stand for? What kind of life do you want to live? The answers to these questions will help you find your personal values. Try the surveillance camera trick. Imagine that your life fully corresponds to your desires and aspirations. You have achieved full enlightenment. Your life is filled with only those activities that are important to you. And all this recorded by a video camera, 24 hours per day. Like in the movie The Truman Show, what would you see in the video? What activities could you see that you are not doing now? Or on the contrary, do not do something from your current affairs? The basic idea is that your personal values may differ from generally accepted or imposed rules. Maybe you don't need to spend all your time for studying, but spend time with family and friends, or to learn to play the cello, or to skate. Or if your own value is the maximum mastery of the profession, and you would like to spend less time communicating with friends and devote yourself to your studies, this is also the norm and does not make you a bad or wrong person. Act in your own way. But the next question, okay, I want to help homeless animals because of my value, but I also want to be a doctor. How to do everything simultaneously? The next trick is time management. Start keeping a notebook with plans and goals. Write down your plans for the next day each evening and cross off what you accomplished on today's list. But that's not enough at all. Do not limit yourself to a simple to-do list. Write down ideas that arose during the day, expectations for the next day, wishes and goals. The main condition for keeping a notebook is to understand that should and must are different things. For convenient planning, you can use the ABC principle. Those actions that must be done urgently tomorrow, mark A. Those that can wait a few days, B, and a week or more, C. Important notes, you cannot move You cannot move on to task B until all A are completed. Tasks with the same mark can be completed in any order. Additional numbering such as A1, A2 cannot be used. All cases with the same mark are equivalent. And the most important things, enter your rest or pleasant things for yourself in A. Otherwise, this principle can exhaust you instead of helping you. For additional control of time allocation, you can use entries marked minimum or maximum. For example, read Steven Starr's psychopharmacology guide for at least 30 minutes, or play God of War Ragnarok maximum 1 hour. Next part of the sentence is to open up. Why, how, where, what is that supposed to mean? I advise you to open up to your thoughts and feelings. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I can't do this. It's hopeless. It's not about me. I'm weak, helpless, worthless. I'll never understand, learn this, and so on. I'll tell you a secret. We all think like that sometimes. Me and my colleagues sometimes think I'm best psychotherapist. There's a difficult case or client. I'll probably won't be able to deal with them and so on. And you know what? This is also normal. What did you do in such cases? Have you tried to distract yourself from unpleasant thoughts, change them to positive ones, avoid or escape from situations that cause them? Undoubtedly, we all do this too. And this is quite an effective approach. But sometimes these negative thoughts seem to catch us on the hook, and the previous strategies either stop helping or start changing our life. We have to avoid certain situations more and more, or the harder we try to drive away on a pleasant thought, the more we concentrate on it. So I suggest opening up to these feelings and thoughts, letting them pass through you and just let them go down. How? Realizing that your thoughts are just a kaleidoscope of symbols and phrases that do not control you like puppets, if you don't want it yourself, of course. And radio doom and gloom will help us in this. Imagine for a moment that the negative thoughts you keep having are like a radio station that's always playing in the background. Unfortunately, it tends to be the doom and gloom show, reminding us about things that went wrong in the past, bad things that might happen in the future, and all the things that are not as they should be in our life at the moment. The problem with this radio station is that we can't just switch it off. Perhaps we manage to mute it temporarily with drugs or alcohol, but the doom and gloom show will keep on playing. If you ever actively try to ignore radio playing in the background, you will understand how difficult it is. The very act of trying to ignore it means we are, in some way, focused on it, and thus less able to focus on the things we actually want to be doing. Equally, trying to apply positive thinking strategies can be like turning on a second radio. It will be tough to focus on what you want to be doing when here are two radio stations simultaneously playing in the background. So how can you use radio doom and gloom to deal with unhelpful thoughts and feelings? Once a gloomy thought pops into your head, rather than focus on it, simply acknowledge its presence. Recognize the doom and gloom show is playing again. Notice what you are hearing or feeling. Thank your mind, and then return your attention to whatever you are doing. Let the thought fade into background noise. Don't waste any energy fighting your thoughts or pushing them away. Instead, simply name them. Oh, here is radio doom and gloom again. Let them pass like a cloud in the sky and move on to doing the things that help you create full and meaningful life. Be present is the next component of our slogan, which I will explain. Right now, you can object to me. But Mister, here are now, listening to your lecture. We are aware of this. How does this help? And I agree with you, but not completely. Are you fully immersed in the process, or are you distracted by your own thoughts or feelings? An uncomfortable chair, too hot, too cold? Have you ever read a book and caught yourself automatically turning several pages, but you don't remember what it was about because you were distracted by thoughts and memories? I think it is now a little clear what it means by being present in the activity you are doing here and now. And this applies either to work or study and to recreation or hobbies. But this does not mean that it is necessary to narrow attention to one point and remain in this state, simply shifting them from one matter to another. This means to perceive situation as a whole, but not to be distracted by secondary things. Sometimes we can't focus on our activity and the moment because thoughts, perhaps unpleasant and painful, literally turn into a storm. Then I suggest the drop the anchor exercise. Drop the anchor consists of 3 steps, A, C, E. Acknowledge your thoughts and feelings, come back into your body, and engage in what you are doing. So, A, silently and kindly acknowledge whatever is showing up inside you. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, sensations, urges. C, come back into and connect with your physical body. You could try some or all of this. Slowly push your feet hard into the floor. Slowly straighten up your back and spine. If sitting upright and forward in your chair. Slowly press your fingertips together. Slowly stretch your arms or neck. Shrug your shoulders. Slowly breathe. E, get a sense of where you are and refocus your attention on the activity you are doing. In your surroundings, notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you are touching, 2 things you can smell, and 1 taste in your mouth. Finally, notice what are you doing and do what matters. Ideally, run through the ACE cycle slowly 3 or 4 times to tune it into a 2-3 minutes exercise. So, what did we get as a result? Attentive listeners, and you are all attentive listeners, I'm sure, noticed that all the components of this slogan are interconnected and inseparable from each other. So, what do we have? Be present, focus on the activity you are doing. Open up to your thoughts and feelings and do what matters according to your values. Obviously, half an hour is not enough to explain everything in as much detail as possible, barely enough to explain the basics. That's why I recommend the books for reading. Happiness Trap, Stop Struggling, Start Living by Russ Harris, and Doing What Matters in Times of Stress, an illustrated guide by World Health Organization. And if you have any questions, propositions, complaints, remarks, desire to quarrel or argue with me, please feel free to email me. And best wishes, be open, live your meaningful and richful life. Thank you and goodbye.